Welcome to the Success in Africa podcast with Dr. Modupe, your weekly dose of leadership vitamins to make you successful in Africa.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Success in Africa Leadership Podcast. My name is Dr. Modupe Taylor Pierce, and I am a scholar and practitioner of leadership and organizational development. Simply put, I study what makes people successful. I have been studying this for 3 decades with a particular focus on people in Africa. And in this podcast, I share stories, lessons, and insights about people having success right here in Africa. I created this podcast because I have a vision for Africa. I have a vision of Africa becoming a high income continent by 2040. And for that to happen, I need you and every other African watching or listening to this podcast to become successful. So, if you want to be successful in Africa, I encourage you to like and subscribe to this podcast. This episode is brought to you courtesy of BCA Online, the one-stop shop for mastering leadership. Joining BCA Online is free, and it gives you access to countless hours of videos, content, knowledge, and a plethora of resources on leadership that will enhance your capacity. If you have questions that you want me to answer after watching this video, just log on to BCA Online. The link is on the screen, and post your questions there. That is where I will respond. Today, I'm continuing on our 5-part series that I started 2 weeks ago on culture. Culture is the sum total of behaviors that are rewarded plus behaviors that are tolerated minus behaviors that are punished. Every tribe, every community, every country, every home, every family, every church, every mosque has culture. In every gathering, there are behaviors that are rewarded, tolerated, and you will see an absence of behaviors that are punished, because none of us likes to be punished. Now, the thing is, I have been studying African culture, and I have found that there are lots of things that are common to most African tribes, and lots of them are absolutely laudable. However, in this 5-part series, I am looking into 5 aspects of African culture which make us poorer and kill us prematurely. Each one of these 5 are behaviors that we have had handed down to us. We may even cherish them, look at them as things that make us uniquely African. But if we want to be successful, if we want to be prosperous, we have to find a way to shed off these particular behaviors. 2 weeks ago, we examined one of them, which was the reverence for seniority. If you missed it, I encourage you to go back and watch that episode. Last week, we examined the second one, which was weddings and funerals, our proclivity for overspending on them. Again, I encourage you to listen to that or watch it if you missed it. Today, we're going to examine the third one. And again, let me say this. I understand if when I share these, it makes you uncomfortable. Because as I said, I am an African as well. And these are behaviors that we may have been taught by our grandparents. But we have to be able to look at the outcomes that these behaviors sentence us to. So what is this third one? This third aspect of culture that makes us poorer is our marginalization of women. The marginalization of women. Let me start with a story. A few months ago, during a visit to Namibia, I struck up a conversation with a cab driver. He was a middle aged man who, by my estimation, had probably completed secondary school but not university. He spoke good English. He appeared thoughtful and clearly he enjoyed his work. I asked him about the state of the country. At the time, Namibia had recently elected its first female president, Dr. Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah, commonly known as Triple N. The driver, whom I will just call John, said to me, "You know, things are going well now. But when this woman was elected president, I did not vote for her." I asked him, I said, "Why, John? Why didn't you vote for Triple N?" And John said, "Sir, I could not see how a woman could run this country. How would a woman run the government? Is that even possible?" Okay. I then asked John a follow-up question. I said, "Well, she's been in office almost a year now. What do you think today?" He paused and he said, "You know, sir, now that we have seen what she's doing, it's interesting." He said, "The ministers actually have to work. Before, they would just take office, build houses, build mansions, and do nothing. Now, they must perform. The country is moving forward. She is doing well." So I asked John again. I said, "Well, okay, knowing what you know now, if you had to vote again, would you vote for her?" He took a deep breath. He said, um, hmm, well, I think so. She has proven me wrong. It's still not easy to think about a woman as president, but yes, I think so. Initially, I was struck by John's reluctance, even after witnessing strong performance, to fully embrace the idea of a woman leader. But upon reflection, I realized that John's perspective was not personal. He didn't personally know Triple N. It was cultural. It was shaped by norms ingrained in him from childhood, not through formal education, but through what he heard elders say, what drew applause, what was reinforced socially. Statements that, when taken together, communicated one central message, which is a woman's place is under a man and in the home. Across Africa, north, south, east, west, and central, the marginalization of women is common. It manifests itself in different ways. In some countries, laws prevent women from owning land. In others, girls are discouraged from attending school while boys are encouraged. In some cultures, women are taught that their highest aspiration should be to marry a wealthy man. Sometimes the marginalization is subtle. Jokes about bad drivers being women. Sometimes it is overt. Restrictions on movement, compulsory covering, or exclusion from leadership and decision making. Whatever form it takes, the result is the same, that women do not have equal access to education, healthcare, technology, economic opportunity, or leadership. And this begins from the day they are born. But the question really is, why should we care? Am I making an argument just out of, well, it's not nice to impoverish, to hold back women? No. The reality is, this behavior actually makes us poorer. You may ask, how does it make us poorer? I'll share with you. You see, in the global economy, which you participate in, whether you realize it or not, every country, every company, every organization is competing. You are competing to create value, to create goods, services, and to create that value at a better quality, quantity, and price than somebody else. You see, and that's where innovation comes in. That's where automation comes in. That's where quality control comes in, because whoever creates those products or services better, that create more value at a better quality, better consistency, at a better price, will have an advantage over their neighbor. Companies, organizations, communities, and countries that perform the best in this do so because they mobilize their talent most effectively. Because who creates the value? Who brings things together? Who creates the products and services? It is human beings. And the reality is, by marginalizing women, African countries, communities, companies, and leaders enter into this competition like a boxer goes into a ring with one hand tied behind his back. Women make up 50% of the population. When we marginalize them, we're excluding half of our creative capacity, half of our productive talent, half of our leadership potential. We are effectively declaring that half of our population is unfit to contribute meaningfully to national prosperity. No competitive team that does that will win. Because we are competing against other people who are not excluding half of their population. They are coming into the boxing ring with two hands, and we are coming into the boxing ring with one hand behind our back. Guess who is going to win and who is going to lose consistently? It's the ones who are competing with two hands that will win more consistently. They will produce better products, better consistency, better pricing. In Africa, we actually even have an example of that. Rwanda has elevated women into leadership across government, parliament, and the private sector, not just as a symbolic gesture or trying to be nice, but as a deliberate strategy. Why? Because they understand that marginalizing women is a surefire path to impoverishment. Women occupy senior roles in proportion to their presence in society in Rwanda more than any other African country. And as a result, what do we see? Rwanda extracts more performance per capita from its population than most African countries. And it does so without the advantages that many other places enjoy. It doesn't have a coastline, no vast natural resources, no massive arable land, no major tourist assets. But what they have done is very simple. They have just chosen not to sideline half of their population. And as a result, they are experiencing better outcomes. They are experiencing more success. Their companies are experiencing more success. Their communities are experiencing more success. Their country is experiencing greater success. My fellow Africans, when we tolerate the marginalization of women, when we reward behaviors that enforce it, when we punish women who seek leadership, we have to be very clear about what we're doing. We're actually choosing poverty. We are choosing underperformance. We are choosing premature decline. In your company and your business, when you marginalize women in meetings, you are foregoing the benefit of hearing and exploring the best ideas which could catapult your business to greater success. How many of us have been in meetings where sometimes we see that some women just sit back and don't contribute? Or even if they do contribute, they are seemingly ignored. Those companies are dooming themselves to failure because they are competing against other companies in other parts of the world that are taking full advantage of all of their available resources. And the reality is that the good Lord doesn't give us talent based on our gender. He gives talent to male and female equally, similarly, especially talent that has to do with leadership, with innovation, with management. And that's the key to prosperity. You see, when you marginalize women in hiring decisions into your company, you are literally forfeiting the benefit of having the best talent work for you that could grow your business successfully. If you marginalize women in making promotion decisions, you are reducing your competitive advantage and shortchanging your own success. Again, I understand these are not easy transformations to make. But awareness is what creates choice. When we are aware of what brings us the outcomes that we don't want, then we now are empowered to make changes. For decades, for years, we have been complaining about being poor. We have been complaining about the fact that our countries are not developed. We have been complaining about the fact that we're not able to meet our dreams. The hard truth is that all of these things are largely created by our own behaviors, perspectives, and cultures. If you want to be successful in Africa, clinging to cultural norms that marginalize women is not going to get you there. It is not cultural pride, it is economic self-harm. So we have a choice. We can preserve short-term comfort and male dominance, or we can choose prosperity, dignity, and competitiveness. This is not about being nice. This is about becoming prosperous. Until we, African entrepreneurs, African founders, African leaders, African business managers, African directors, African public sector leaders enter the global arena with both hands free, until we allow women to contribute fully, we will continue to be knocked out in the first round of global business. Folks, we've come to the end of today's episode. I do hope you've learned something more about achieving success in Africa. I'm so grateful to you for listening or watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel and like this video. Tell your friends about it, because together, and that's together with the men and women, we can transform our beloved continent of Africa. I'll see you next week.
Tomorrow belongs to those people who prepare for it today. See you next week.